Today we are going to read a beautiful section from A Course in Miracles. They're all beautiful, but some are maybe a little bit more poetic than others. I'm going to read a passage at the end of this section, and then I'll read it again later and we'll talk about it. This is a often quoted passage. The journey to God is merely the reawakening of the knowledge of where you are always and what you are forever. It is a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. Truth can only be experienced. It cannot be described, and it cannot be explained. I can make you aware of the conditions of truth, but the experience is of God. Together we can meet its conditions, but truth will dawn upon you of itself. What God has willed for you is yours. He has given his will to his treasure, whose treasure it is. Your heart lies where your treasure is, as his does. You who are beloved of God are wholly blessed. Learn this of me and free the holy will of all those who are as blessed as you are. Okay, so this is chapter 8, The Journey Back. And this is section 6, The Treasure of God. We are the joint will of the sonship whose wholeness is for all. We begin the journey back by setting out together and gather in our brothers as we continue together. Every gain in our strength is offered for all, so they too can lay aside their weakness and add their strength to us. God's welcome waits for us all, and he will welcome us as I am welcoming you. Forget not the kingdom of God for anything the world has to offer. The world can add nothing to the power and the glory of God and his holy sons, but it can blind the sons to the Father if they behold it. You cannot behold the world and know God. Only one is true. I am come to tell you that the choice of which is true is not yours to make. If it were, you would have destroyed yourself. Yet God did not will the destruction of his creations, having created them for eternity. His will has saved you, not from yourself, but from your illusion of yourself. He has saved you for yourself. Let us glorify him whom the world denies, for over his kingdom the world has no power. No one created by God can find joy in anything except the eternal, not because he is deprived of anything else, but because nothing else is worthy of him. What God and his sons create is eternal, and in this and this only is their joy. Listen to the story of the prodigal son and learn what God's treasure is and yours. This son of a loving father left his home and thought he had squandered everything for nothing of any value, although he had not understood its worthlessness at the time. He was ashamed to return to his father because he thought he had hurt him. Yet when he came home, the father welcomed him with joy, because the son himself was his father's treasure. He wanted nothing else. God wants only his son because his son is his only treasure. You want your creations as he wants his. Your creations are your gift to the Holy Trinity, created in gratitude for your creation. They do not leave you any more than you left your Creator, but they extend your creation as God extended himself to you. Can the creations of God himself take joy in what is not real? And what is real except the creations of God and those that are created like his? Your creations love you as you love your Father for the gift of creation. There is no other gift that is eternal, and therefore there is no other gift that is true. How then can you accept anything else or give anything else and expect joy in return? And what else but joy would you want? You made neither yourself nor your function. You made only the decision to be unworthy of both. Yet you cannot make yourself unworthy because you are the treasure of God, and what he values is valuable. There can be no question of its worth, because its value lies in God's sharing himself with it and establishing its value forever. Your function is to add to God's treasure by creating yours. His will to you is his will for you. He would not withhold creation from you because his joy is in it. You cannot find joy except as God does. His joy lay in creating you, and he extends his fatherhood to you so that you can extend yourself as he did. You do not understand this because you do not understand him. No one who does not accept his function can understand what it is, and no one can accept his function unless he knows what he is. Creation is the will of God. His will created you to create. Your will was not created separate from his, and so you must will as he wills. And, quote, unwilling will, unquote, does not mean anything because being a contradiction in terms, it actually means nothing. When you think you are unwilling to will with God, you are not thinking. God's will is thought. It cannot be contradicted by thought. God does not contradict himself, and his sons who are like him cannot contradict themselves or him. Yet their thought is so powerful that they can even imprison the mind of God's Son if they so choose. This choice does not make the Son's function unknown to him. This choice does make the Son's function unknown to him, but never to his Creator. And because it is not unknown to his Creator, it is forever knowable to him. There is no question but one you should ever ask of yourself. Quote, do I want to know my Father's will for me? Unquote. He will not hide it. He has revealed it to me because I asked it of him and learned of what he has already given. Our function is to work together because apart from each other, we cannot function at all. The whole power of God's Son lies in all of us, but not in any of us alone. God would not have us be alone because he does not will to be alone. That is why he created his Son and gave him the power to create with him. Our creations are as holy as we are, and we are the sons of God himself, as holy as he is. Through our creations, we extend our love and thus increase the joy of the Holy Trinity. You do not understand this because you who are God's own treasure do not regard yourself as valuable. Given this belief, you cannot understand anything. I share with God the knowledge of the value he puts upon you. My devotion to you is of him being born of my knowledge of myself and him. We cannot be separated. Whom God has joined cannot be separated, and God has joined all his sons with himself. Can you be separated from your life and your being? The journey to God is merely the reawakening of the knowledge of where you are always and what you are forever. It is a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. Truth can only be experienced. It cannot be described, and it cannot be explained. I can make you aware of the conditions of truth, but the experience is of God. Together we can meet its conditions, but truth will dawn upon you of itself. What God has willed for you is yours. He has given his will to his treasure, whose treasure it is. Your heart lies where your treasure is, as his does. You who are beloved of God are wholly blessed. Learn this of me and free the holy will of all those who are as blessed as you are. The treasure of God. It's the name of this section. So, in this section, Jesus retells the story of the prodigal son. Let's just read that real quickly again. Listen to the story of the prodigal son and learn what God's treasure is and yours. This son of a loving father left his home and thought he had squandered everything for nothing of any value, although he had not understood its worthlessness at the time. He was ashamed to return to his father because he thought he had hurt him. Yet when he came home, the father welcomed him with joy, because the son himself was his father's treasure. He wanted nothing else. I actually put that passage, which is brilliant, in a song called "Come Home." It's on the internet, YouTube, Spotify. Come Home. And what does it mean? Jesus says, you do not understand what he's saying because you who are God's own treasure do not regard yourself as valuable. Given this belief, you cannot understand anything. So we do not believe we are the treasure of God. We do not believe that how could we possibly be the Son of God? How could we possibly be one with God? How could we possibly be infinitely worthy and nothing can take that away from us, ever? Not here, not anywhere, because there is nowhere else. Why do we not fully trust and believe that and know that? Because, as Jesus is saying at the end of this passage, we haven't experienced it, and we can only experience that to know what it is, and the experience is knowing. That's what the experience is. Now, that said, we have all had the experience. We have forgotten. We all know what that is. We've just chosen to forget. We've chosen to let the world come in the way. But we can't see both. Jesus is saying you cannot see the world as real and also know God as real. It's one or the other. It can't be both, and there's really no compromise. You can't see the world just a little bit and still find God, is what Jesus is getting at. It's very radical. This whole presentation is, and really it is uncompromising. But as Jesus said at the very beginning, you can take your time. Take all the time in the world. Take as much time as you need. And you will take as much time as you need because it's scary. What he's saying to the ego is very scary. And we don't want it to be true. As long as we are aligned with the ego, we do not want it to be true. And we're going to kick and scream. But it is true, and it is the only thing that's true, and it's the only thing that we really want. Who would not want absolute love? How could we not want that? How could we ever think that we anything else would be worthy of us? So, the journey to God is merely the reawakening of the knowledge of where you are always and what you are forever. It's a reawakening. It's something that we already know. It's a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. God does not change. God is. God has never gone anywhere. We have chosen to block the awareness of God from our mind. And in doing so, we are out of touch with what we truly are. And that is why we suffer, and that is why we are unhappy. So Jesus is saying, I know he says, truth can only be experienced. God can only be experienced. It can't be described, and it cannot be explained. So Jesus cannot tell us what that is. He can't tell us what that feels like. No one can. You can only use words, and God is beyond all words and all concepts. Beyond everything that we know to be, that we currently know to be true or think is true. Words and concepts are things that we need to navigate this world of illusion. If we didn't need to navigate this world of illusion, we the words and the concepts would be no more, and we would be resting back in the knowledge of God, or the oneness with God. So all you can do is meet the conditions of truth, and Jesus is presenting the terms and conditions. He's trying to help you to weed out the way the conditionings that we've allowed to block the awareness of love's presence from our minds. And as we meet the terms and conditions as he's presenting, and as we do that process, you could call it the process of elimination, eliminating all that is not real from our mind, so that we can know again what the only thing that is real. Then once we meet the conditions of truth, we will have the experience of truth. Once we meet the conditions of God, we will experience God once again. God, and to say the conditions of God is unconditional love. So God has no conditions, but we have been conditioned to, we have to undo the conditions that we have put in the way. This is a little bit complicated. We have allowed ourselves to be conditioned in such a way that we do not see the unconditional love of God. That is blocked from us. So, and the message again and again is that not only are you the Son of God, but everyone else is too. Everyone and everything else is the Son of God as well. And as long as you do not see that, to see, as Yogi Bhajan famously once said, if you don't see God in all, you do not see God at all. So if you are seeing any kind of problem with any brother or any other out there, we're still siding with the ego, and we will not know what is real. All right, I think that's good for right now. It's the same message over and over again in different ways, and I really hope this is helping. Please feel free to let me know. You can leave a comment. You can always reach out. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. The next section is called The Body as a Means of Communication. See you there.